Hello, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Back with another watch list review session. Wanted to hop on here. Definitely a slower week on my end, but before the the Coast Guard or National Guard or a search party got sent out for me, I figured I would hop on. How are you guys doing this week? Pull up my little document here so I can go over some of my trades this week. 30th yesterday. 30th, 29th, 28th was the Monday. Okay, so on Monday we had those gap ups, I believe it was, on SMX and yeah. I was looking at a couple of these runners where they were gapping up fairly big, but I don't like those day two gapping craps unless they're gapping up 70% plus, where I can trade them like a day one gapper, except that they're on their day two, and MCVT was doing the same thing. I just wanted them to set up a bit better. In hindsight, you short the open, and they faded off into oblivion. So those were misses on my end. What else? NVTS, I had sold that swing. I had bought it on this day when we had those 2 days of consolidation. Then it perked through it. It was long there at $9. We got a straight up spike right off the open, and it got hammered. When I say hammered, it got hammered. Where it straight up spike looked really strong coming out of those multi-day 1, 2, 3, 4 days of consolidation. This was day 5, pushed up into highs, and then completely round tripped immediately. So I took it off right through here in the 890s. So long in nines, cut at 890s, and so a super small loss there. I had ATNF on that day. Was right here, looking for it to break through those 350s. The way in which it did it was just not ideal in the slightest. Right here into the close, or just whoop, straight up. It's not sustainable, so I didn't touch that one. GoPro, I tried a backside bounce on it once. Right there. We had 1, 2 days gap down, close above its open. So I bought the next day right near open and then cut it fairly quickly for a few cent loss there as well. On the 28th, where we got this weak open and then a swipe, and I just chased it through highs, but was risking 148 with a 153 entry. That one didn't really amount to much. Navini, I had tried this one. That also didn't really amount to much. It's starting to come back decent. But we had that straight up spike. I had bought it here through 76 breakout. Right here. So we had that straight up move, and on the watch list I was looking for a gap and open between 70 and 76, and it basically gapped exactly how I would have liked. It was between 70 and 80 since 7 a.m. So that's really nice, what I was looking for. And then I had started to buy some, accumulate dips here through these higher lows. And I added one last time off open once it broke through 76s. And then right here, as it broke through lows a day, I cut it through the low 70s there. So that one ended up being a loss. So on that first day, taking off NVTS for maybe like a 1/5 loss. And then GoPro was a 1R loss. So I was down small on that day, like a 1.2 R red on that day. And then this NVNI, and what else did I buy? It was NVNI and what was SMX, was it? I think it might have been. So I tried dip buying this one on this day. I played this little reversal where we had that gap up, fail, pulled back, consolidated, and then closed strong. So I was looking for weak opens versus prior day's lows right here. And it's set up fairly nice where we got this flush off the open. So I bought some here, added some here, and then I bought this flush somewhere in here, and then put all my sides into this high a day break and moved risk up to low a day. So with these entries and then these adds, I probably had like a 171, 172 average and was risking like 164. So call it 7 or 8 cents a risk. And goal for me was a retest up between like 220 and 240. And the volume never came into it. It just slowly chopped. I sold it right here. I kind of smacked that crack there. I don't know if I caused it or what, but it just wasn't continuing. I already was up 10 cents or so. So right here, I just hit it and it kind of flushed out on me. It ended up going a bit higher after that to 190 from 180, but that wasn't the plan. I wanted to see it break and start to really build and trend to highs, and it just didn't. So that one didn't really amount to much. What else did I have? IXHL. If you go over on my Twitter page, I had posted my executions on this one yesterday, I think it was. So they finally released that data, phase 2 data I was talking about all through here. They put out an S3 MEF here in after hours. They kind of messed up that parabolic short idea, but I figured that there was still an opportunity given this holding pattern until the data came out, and they halted it in pre, and then once it opened, gapped up and went straight up. This 166 is that looking left daily highs during regular market hours. So I put on a starter at 155. I added 166 into the spike. I was shorting into strength. And then I got this pull and I was covering here at like 140 and thinking, I was on broadcast that morning in IU, and I said I could see 2 scenarios. This is a case where the best ones never bounce, and I just covered, and I'm going to regret it because it's not going to bounce. Everybody's waiting for a bounce, and it just never comes. That's the scenario that played out. And then the other scenario I could see was shorts hit this, and you get that one last squeeze out. That any short who chased this weakness gets popped through VWAP, and I was sitting in the 140s, 150s with orders looking for a swipe through VWAP to sit back. And even once market open, it was just a steady sell program all the way down. So I think this was the biggest mistake of the week. I think this was the week maker. I think this was the broken slot machine for small caps this week. And I kind of botched that. Was there on the entry. It wasn't full size either. Like it wasn't a full size position. I wish I just added and trusted the plan instead of just shorting the parabolic and covering the VWAP pull. given that this ran from 20 cents to 160s in anticipation of this quote-unquote positive phase data. So with a 160 entry and this thing back at 40 cents, it definitely hurts. But that was the botch there yesterday. What else? That was it yesterday. So then going into today, I did short an OTC in my Interactive Brokers account because I can't short that at Centerpoint. So I don't have my charts open for it, but I can pull up. If you guys have OTC permissions, HGRAF is the OTC. And that one also trades in Canada, I believe, under HG, is it? Yeah, I think the Canadian, that's the ticker on the American pink sheet OTCs. But I believe HG also trades in Canada. So I had shorted that one. Once I go through my other trades here on my CP account, I will pop out the web page, and but it was just a parabolic first red day short. I'm still holding it. I covered about a quarter of that position in the 79s, and then still holding some for tomorrow. And then I bought NEG to NEGG. I bought this one here, currently still sitting in it, but has a good history of breakouts and multi-day runs. Double topped, 1 day of rest and consolidation, and then hit that 56 price alert and started to re-break out. So what? My eye is itchy. So the plan on it for me here was I bought this breakout here, 56, and this position here I risked down to low a day. I was risking like 10 points, thinking if the way that this trades, how thin it is, that I can risk $10 a share because I'm thinking this could go 100. And if this goes 100, $50, 50 points, $50, risking $10 is a 5-to-1 trade. So I thought I could risk to low a day. And then I'm like, do I really want to risk $10? So I added and moved risk up to like this prior dip low and gave it a little bit of slippage. Because if this were to break out and then from here start to roll over, break VWAP. So I set a stop at like 50.5. And thought the daily candle, like if you can just imagine this big strong move and then you get this and then a crack and then a rollover, I don't think that would look like such a bullish daily candle. You'd have like a huge top wick if it started to break back below 50, and it wouldn't look super pretty. So into close, I was willing to swing it as long as we closed over the breakout level. Pulled back a little bit there in after hours, but still closed around 64. Really nice trend, held above VWAP all day, closed above the breakout level. So if this fails back below like 53 at market open tomorrow, I'll just cut it and take my $3 a share loss. It won't be a full-size loss at that point. Just moving risk up. But if we get a weak open, maybe it holds red to green, then we get an opening range break, and it's still above the breakout level. Like if we were to open between like 60 and 65, maybe it holds 60 off the open, re-breaks 65. I don't hate an opening range add and move risk to that low a day, and try to pyramid into it because as you can see, like it did dip red briefly on this candle, but then it just goes gap to gap and until you get these big blow off candles. So as long as it's above like 53, 54, I'm willing to swing it, but currently still in that one. And then open, I believe I mentioned, I talked about this plan definitely on the watch list. I don't recall if I had done a watch list at that point. But I was looking for it to consolidate for a couple days and then break through that $2 level. If you guys remember, I know I talked about it on the watch list. I just don't think I was on here to talk about the entries. But that's pretty much what we got. We got a pullback. We got this first green day bounce, consolidated inside it for 2 days. And then right over here, we got the gap down and break under this little 220, 230 kind of shorter channel. This is kind of like a bigger picture failed follow through where you get the pull, prior support acts as resistance, and it starts to roll over. So I hit it right in here on this day, and then we got this little bounce. Now prior support became resistance again. I added into that winner. I covered about a quarter, maybe a fifth. I don't know, quarter to a fifth into close. I'm looking for it to get towards like 150-ish, which would be the prior low, prior support. Right now we're sitting on the 20 EMA that could act as support. So if this doesn't gap down and break today's lows tomorrow, I will probably cover another half of my position, not looking to give back this 50 cent a share fade from that 230 move. So if it doesn't break tomorrow's lows fairly quickly off the open, if we're not gapping down, I will cover another half near the open. But ideally, just looking for a gap down, flush into this 130 to 150 range, and just be done with it, and take that swing trade. So those are my trades today and current positions that I'm in. I will check chat here quickly, and then I will go over that OTC trade. Golan, Tina, Mister, good to see you as well. Bass Hunter, I am indeed back. Liam Neeson was going to come looking for me. I have a very particular set of skills, Golan, not to worry. The last 3 weeks have been a little bit rough. Time to slow down a bit. Jeff, what's going on? Is this a penny stock? I guess most of the stuff is penny stocks. They're all small caps. I never really use the term penny stock. I more look at them as different market cap ranges. But yeah, Dawson for president. I don't know if that flies being Canadian, but no problem. So let me pull up maybe I'll just open like stockcharts.com or something. HG RAF. Go to candlesticks. Throw on my RSI and my EMA. And then let me swap my screens to stock charts. And I can make it a little bit bigger. I don't really like to look at the ads, so we'll just leave it like that. I can zoom in here. So we had this big multi-day run up from 20 cents-ish up into the 40s. And it was fairly steady, gap to gap to gap. Volume continues to pick up. Right through here, you can see RSI, volume picks up as price continues to go higher. You get this little first red day in the 50s down to like the 30s. Decent percentage pullback, not a ton of range. But I think the trade is good enough. But what's even better is it flags. If anyone plays OTC breakouts, then maybe this 40-cent breakout you could have taken and swing it until it goes red. You get this gap up parabolic that now goes from 1 to 130. I really wish I had I don't even think I can do. Does it do? No. Oh. Nope, I don't pay for anything. Will it do anything like that? It won't do intraday charts. Let's go. Make the chart look a bit nicer at least. Something like that probably looks decent. But I don't know. I don't have the permissions on Centerpoint, so I can't show it on my DAS chart. And I just trade off of IB on my mobile. I don't use their desktop platform. I used to. It just sucks, so I've never used it. I just trade on my phone when I'm doing that. But yeah, so this breakout here through 50 cents, and then goes gap to gap to gap. And then once it's up here at the 130s, the 4 EMA is down in the 70s. The RSI is up in the 90s the last few days, so it's definitely getting ahead of itself. Volume started to pick up. We got a straight up move from $1 to 130 right off the open in like a couple minutes. And it snapped from like 130 down to like 115 or something. And it slowly bounced and kind of rounded over from like 110s to like 125s, and then started to break those 115s, prior low. So I hit it at 112s, I hit it at 108s, I hit it at 105s, and then once it went red at 101, below the prior day's close, I hit it some more. And once it went red, it flushed to like 95 cents or so. And we got one last little relief bounce into those low ones. And I think that was the cover pop for any shorts who only entered on the red to green move, or on the green to red move, that were now nervous of it coming back green. So I felt like that was an ad opportunity. So I leaned into that one again and was risking towards 115-ish. And then I covered some in the 79s, some in the 81s, about a quarter or so of the position, maybe a fifth, and still swinging some, looking for the gap down. If this starts to build back, 85s, 90s plus off the open, but the same kind of thing as open, as the other stock that I'm swinging. I just prefer to see it gap down and flush off the open and just be done with it. I'm not really looking to add to it per se. So ideally, gap down and flush. I think if this were to pull back for another day or two towards the prior breakout level, if it pulls back over a couple days, I think you could have a backside bounce for screen day. If this were to panic, gap down and panic straight to 50 cents, I'd also react to a panic dip buy on that. But yeah. So this was the main like realized gain with that fifth of position between open and H graph. I think I'm up maybe 1.5 R or so, and that's only locking in like a fifth of each of the positions and then currently swinging them. So hopefully they make it easy on me and just gap down and work, but we will see. So go back to this screen. Let me see here. Do you see GoPro, Open, and Donut as quiet faders, or have they gone too far for any more fade? GoPro, Open, and Donut kind of as a quiet fader basket. I think Open was more of the optimal one, given that it tried to bounce and proved that it wanted to stay heavy. Where GoPro, if you weren't short on this day and planning to swing, it never really popped and proved that it wanted to fail. Like, it was just a steady fader. It never really pushed. Like, if this were to have tested like a 180 to 2 shove on one of these days and then sat back, it's like, okay, there's sellers there, which I know that there's sellers there, but I want longs to try and buy the dip and push it into those levels and create that little pocket of bag holders to prove that this can't go any higher. And that's what Open did, where when it pulls back, you're pulling back into a level of support that it should bounce off of. So you need to kind of create like this new volume shelf of like a new shareholder base that's on the wrong side. So like if you were to put like a daily VWAP on, like something like this, like I've got VWAP on the daily here. So like the average buyer over this whole thing is at like 170. So right now we're testing it, but we've pushed into these 280s twice and it hasn't been able to go higher. Right here, right here. So now we've got like people trying to bounce this, trying to buy the dip, thinking they're buying a deal, a discount from 5 now down to 2. So they're buying here. So now as it rolls over, this is like a daily failed follow through, the same intraday setup, but markets are fractal, so it works on larger time frames. But now we've got these bag holders, so we're not just using these ones, but we're using these bag holders. So we're getting so much more supply that it's just so much harder for it to pop. Or GoPro, this could easily put out a PR one day and rip to 2. Where Open, I don't think can just rip back to 280 at this point because there's so many people that are trying to buy this dip now. Where in GoPro, like the volume has just died off. Donut, I think that 4 breakdown might have had some merit, given that you had this little shove. It pulled back, popped into prior resistance, and it went sideways here for a couple of days. You had this flat bottom 4 that once it broke here, I think you probably could have had a trade in it, but I just think the liquidity and range on Open I felt like was going to be better than Donut. It's kind of proved me wrong, where this one has pulled back 50 cents in 2 days, and Open took 1, 2, 3, 4 days to pull back those 50 cents. So I think Donut was a better opportunity in terms of like the sympathy trade than GoPro, given that you had this consolidation and couple bounce attempts. Do I like Vape for a first green day? Not really. Not a multi-day run. Was just a gapper. Has pulled back for a few days. Only 300,000 shares today. That's just not really tradable. Yeah, not super interested. Not a multi-day runner. Dollar volume's a bit too on the lighter side. Don't love it. Ba, ba, ba. Yeah, it ran in pre-market. Reversal isn't as strong. You betcha. Any daily breakouts or first green days on watch? Yeah, I touched on one. I'm currently swinging neg. That's a daily breakout. So as long as this continues to build over the 50s, I think this could continue running. Like this one here ran from, call it 18, 17, 18, ran to 56, $40 share. So if this breaks out at 56, maybe runs to 90 or 100, you get that same kind of measured potential. I don't think I have any. QS is more of like a, I think it'd be more of like a panic dip buy, but I wanted to see it happen on this day where the daily candles kept getting bigger and the volume kept getting bigger. I wanted to see it just flush out and capitulate for that little mean revert, but it just didn't happen. AGH is kind of consolidating, but again, dollar volume, like we've only got 600,000 shares traded. So like that 270 break looks pretty decent on the daily, but it just, like if you look at intraday, like it's just not really that tradable. So it could work, but don't love it. What else? Yeah, no first green days. I think neg is probably the only real breakout trade that I have any confidence in. And then a first green day maybe in Hagraph. HGRAF in a day or two maybe. MCVT is not a liquidity trap. It Could be. I just have $7 price alerts set. The question was MCVT, is it not a liquidity trap anymore? I just was waiting for 7 to break. Where we went on this front side move, gapped up, failed to follow through, and then was holding sideways. So this 7 line, it just continues to push and fail off of. So instead of watching it and paying attention to it, just set a $7 price alert, and if it breaks and builds 7, then get long. Otherwise, there's no reason for me to watch it. So it could be, I just am not spending any mental energy paying attention to it. The backside patterns are not so clean. I mean, when they fit that criteria I go over, like if I saw a guy in the Clover Room today, I'm not like calling him out or anything, but on one of my previous watch lists, I said something very similar. So he had a brutal month, his worst month ever, and it was because he had a good June, so he just arbitrarily sized up in July because he had a good month, which isn't necessarily a good idea. Just because you have a good month, you don't size up. It's because you understand a pattern inside and out, and something like Open comes up, something like GoPro comes up, and those are A+++ setups that you size up into those. You don't just size up across the board. I don't see that working out very well for many traders. And he also traded June. He traded a bunch of first green days that worked, backside bounces. Well, I'm looking at my spreadsheet, and I didn't trade like a ton of first green days. I traded a few in June, but it wasn't as plentiful as he was making it sound in June. And there was a Ducks interview with Words of Wisdom, if you guys have seen that podcast, like an up-and-comer. And Ducks said that any gain that he makes on a trade, that he takes a trade that doesn't fit a criteria, whether it's a win or a loss, he treats it as a loss because the loss should be expected because it didn't fit his parameters, that he shouldn't have been trading it in the first place. Or if he did trade it and broke his discipline, then the parameters in that trade are supposed to keep him out of that trade, and therefore now that he took it, eventually he's going to take that trade again when he lacks discipline, and the money will be given back from what he just made on that. So it's like it's a negatively expected value for taking trades that don't fit your criteria, and that's what this guy did. So he took trades in June that don't fit and it's not like my first green day criteria, it's a statistically back-tested first green day criteria that works 75-80% of the time. It's not me discretionarily saying this is what I think and this is what's right and wrong. There's been 500 samples in a back-tested data set that have said this is what is optimal, and they don't come around all the time. Therefore, this guy got rewarded in June for taking subpar criteria trades on a pattern that has 4 or 5 criteria that need to fit. Therefore, he tried to make up for it this month, sized up because he did well on it at one point, and gave it all back and then some and had his worst month. So the backside patterns not being so clean, I like the most clean one was Open right here that went from 160 or $2. What was it? $2? Yeah, it pulled back to $2. You got a weak open to 230 and it ran to 290. You got a 60 cent a share if you got the later entry. If you got the early entry anywhere here, 2 to 220, you get a little bit more, but a better risk reward, but a lower expected value. Over here, call it 50 cents if you don't nail the top and bottom. So you get 50 cents on a $2 name. There is 50 for 25% gain. And that's on any size you want. That thing traded 400 million shares on that day. You can trade any size you want. Since this one, sure, there's been a few there's been a few bounces. Like, I know some people were trading LiDAR for a bounce over here, and to me, that's not a clean frontside move. That's not a clean backside move. And then the dollar volume was good, 30 million. Like the range, it first of all it gapped up and failed, so it was a failed 1 day spiker. So now it ran from 3 to 6. That's only 100% move. Now you've got a ton of bag holders sitting all through here. Where's it going to bounce to? So anyone who bought this, and if they made money, great, but you're going to give that back because it doesn't fit the criteria for the optimally back-tested setup that this is. So I don't think the backside patterns have been not clean. I think that they're just few and far between, and people are seeing this setup come around. People are recognizing it more, and they don't have that data and the proper criteria to trade the proper setup. Therefore, it looks choppy, but I think you just are looking at more names. Where if you traded one open a month, then you're going to be light years ahead. So if you take open, and this is now an A++, like this is as best of a first green day as I've seen in a long time. If you take a 10R risk on this first green day and make 25%, so now you get a 240 entry, I think I was risking like 8 cents that day. Call it 10 cents for simple math. Maybe you take a 10-cent risk and make 50 cents. Now you're risking like 5R, 10R, and you make a 10 to 1. Now you're up 25R or 50R on that one trade. Instead of taking a bunch of 1R risk, 1R risk, 1R risk, 1R risk, and maybe you have a 40 or 50% win rate, if you avoid all those and put that risk into the A+ setups, you're light years ahead. This is what Phil Godecker does. This is what Nate does. This is what Dux does. They just wait and wait and wait and wait, and then size into those big ones. Now, I don't do that every day either. Like, it's the addict in you that you just want to push buttons. So, like, I'm trading neg with a 1R risk. I'm trading this open breakdown with a 1R risk. Maybe a 2R risk on open, actually. But, like, if you just wait for something like this, if you wait for something like this, if you wait for something like this, and just bet the house on it, then this isn't financial advice, but I think you end up ahead. Statement by Dux, yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's so true. When I heard him mention it on there, it was like eye-opening. Because like I hadn't heard someone say it like that before. And I was like, you know what? He's 100% right. Take a look into what market we're in. Lots of people being rewarded for mid setups. 100%. People are being rewarded right now with the market going straight up from those April lows. That a lot of people buying breakouts and buying large cap stocks, they think they're geniuses by, swing trading's easy. Breakouts are easy. Buy stocks, buy stocks, buy stocks. Stocks only go up. And you get rewarded with something like this, and then they'll give it back. Because there's those who have a process will not, but those who don't have a process and are just buying stocks are 100% just being rewarded. Open, IXHL have been the best trades in the last few months. I would agree. They were the broken slot machines. BTOG, what was that one? I think it was okay. I don't think this was at the caliber of Open and IXHL. Open, I think, was the best small cap opportunity in the last little while. IXHL, I'd put up there in like a top 3 or top 5 on this day. Once the data came out into that looking left 160s. GoPro, I'd put in the top 3 or 5, given the liquidity and range that one had. There's been a few. Income versus wealth mindset. not in small caps. I don't know what that one's about. Yeah, Fig, this one here was a pretty anticipated IPO. I saw Steve Spencer at SMB made a post on Twitter that 90% of their firm's P&L came from this stock today. I don't really trade IPOs too much, but I see this being compared to like NMAX. So hopefully we get something like this on Fig. Would be really nice. If that can keep going. It IPO'd at like 33, like is where it was supposed to open. And then it got delayed and opened at 80 and then ran straight up to 140. What was that other one? Bull, I think it was. Where you get that boom, big swipe. And see, this one did only run for one day and then failed, so could happen to Fig. I don't know. I don't really know how to trade it, but I can just kind of hope for it to be higher and maybe trade it in a day or two. C-Pop, big percent gainer. Elwis kind of getting locked up. I would need some more volume to get interested in it, but it is starting to speed up. Maybe has a first red day down the road, but like these 3 days, not a ton of volume. Only real volume came in it today. AGH, like I had mentioned, it's kind of a breakout, but I doubt I'm gonna trade it. The volume is just abysmal. AACG, same kind of thing. It hasn't even traded 1 million shares in a day. Looks really good from 1 over 2, but the volume just isn't there. So ideally this thing goes like 280, 320 and we get like a couple million share day. And then can make that one tradable as well. SNGX, big percent gainer today. NEG, breakout through 56. VRME, gap and fade today. SGD, little multi-day runner, but just too choppy to do anything with. QS, I probably don't have to watch this thing. I don't really want to dip by it anymore. MCVT, price alerts at 7. Open, looking for a gap down flush. Ideally get to like that 130, 150 range. Continue to swing that one. Head graph, gap down, panic, or a backside for screen day. Those are all my ideas there. What started as a rough start to the month ended as one of my best months. Completely nailed Fig with a 40% gain. Just the cherry on top, not a pattern. Just read the ticker and sentiment right. And you see, that's what I mean. With it not being a pattern, with that Ducks thought process, that by you not trading patterns, you'll probably just give that money back at some point, unless you have some sort of process to nail it. But all in all, congrats on the month. Coming back from a rough start is not easy to do mentally. So congrats on your month. Keep it up. But yeah, open, Hagraph, Neg, probably be my top 3 tomorrow. So, yeah. That's about all I've got to touch on. I think a very good discussion, guys. I appreciate the questions. I hope you don't mind my rambling and rants. I get passionate about this kind of stuff. I love talking stocks and process. So I hope it wasn't too much. I hope it was taken well. Would you mind running through specific criteria for first screen day? Apologize if you've already explained it. I'm always hesitant to do that, and I'm not like this big like edge erosion kind of guy, but like there's like, I don't know, 50 people, 50 views or something that have been on this evening, so it's not like it's gonna screw up my edge or anything. But I did put in countless hours and a lot of effort into that setup, and I have gone through my checklist. The other guys in this stream can attest that I have gone over my first green day criteria. And I'm just always hesitant to just the handout type of responses where what's your criteria for a first red day? What's your criteria for a first green day? like I've put in like months and like hundreds of tickers tracked in like a manually entered spreadsheet. Um, that yeah, I'm just kind of hesitant to just give it out because I think if you want it bad enough, you'll just do it. I will tell you that there is dollar volume, there's volume requirements, there's percentage change requirements, um, both in the run up, the pullback, and the distance to overhead resistance. And then there's dollar volume requirements that I use. And then kind of discretionarily is how clean the front and backside moves are. Um, so I think that kind of answer can get you started in the right direction with percentage change in multiple time frames, volume, and then discretionarily I just use like an intra-daily chart to kind of gauge where it could pull back to and where it could bounce to. Yeah, So I know that's not really the answer you're hoping for, but I'm always just hesitant because I was one of those guys that I didn't ask for. I would hear someone in a video like a Gritani or something that would be like, "Hey, there's a certain like when Gritani was trading like afternoon breakouts and he was in the Tim Challenge during COVID, and he would say, "Oh, this one fits my criteria for afternoon breakouts. This one fits my criteria for afternoon breakouts." And he would keep saying it, and people would message him and be like, "What's your criteria for afternoon breakouts?" And it just always seemed like the wrong thought process to me, where he's giving you the blueprint of this ticker fits it, this ticker fits it, this ticker fits it. And if you note those down, look, he alerts his entries, he alerts his stops. So you've got his entry and exit process. And now you just need to reverse engineer why he's picking those tickers over other ones that are also breaking through their afternoon highs a day. But why are these ones better than these ones? Why do I think that open was A+++, and why was I thinking LiDAR is nothing I would touch? And why was I thinking vape is nothing I would touch? What's the difference? And that's like the deep diving that I think gets you further than me just answering the question at face value. I think gets you further in your trading journey. So I think that's my answer, and I think I'm happy with that. So I hope it's taken well. But yeah. Where is Taco? He went through some tough times a few months back, and I'm not 100% sure he is still trading. And without his consent, I don't think I will share too many details beyond that. But I have texted with him, and I have kept in touch. But yeah, he just went through some tough times. Is he okay? As far as I know, I haven't talked to him for a couple weeks now at this point. But I was kind of helping him through and kind of being that person for him to kind of understand what he was going through and to bounce his thoughts off of. So I was there for him through the couple of weeks that he kind of needed someone there to talk to and whatnot. But I can reach out to him again. As far as I know, he's doing okay, but I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. July 25th. Had the open first Green Day watch thing. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. July 25th. So anyone watch that? July 25th watch list. I went through all of my criteria on open stuff and such. Sam is here. Almost every watch list. I believe he goes in the comments too. I think he was categorizing them like on topics and stuff, if I remember correctly. VWAV is a T+1 because it met Bass Hunter's criteria. Yeah, VWAV was the other one. It didn't fit my So maybe that's Bass Hunter's T+1, but that's not my backside bounce criteria. So he has some sort of criteria for a T+1 that I haven't dove into the criteria on how to nail this T+1. And clearly it worked, but it didn't meet my backside bounce, which is a different setup than the T+1. I just haven't done that deep dive into the T+1. I trade those liquidity traps more discretionarily. Personally, I don't have data on them. Sorry, I'm late. Did I go over REPL? I did not. I did not go over it. Little gapper. Pull back. Maybe a question for Bass Hunter. I don't know. Maybe this is a T+1 for him. I don't really have a pattern or opinion on it. First Green Day practice charts. Stuff and such, will post them in the comments. So after I post this video, you can go back in the comments and Stuff and such will post them there. Thank you for the value add. Thank you. I appreciate you giving back. It's very cool. Go back and play them on Thinkorswim on demand. We'd love to see it. Love to see it. I appreciate the value add there. Thank you. Alrighty, guys. On that note, I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And I will see you guys in IU. Take it easy, guys. Peace.